Yeah, welcome back again for a second hour of the class. Now, I think we have struck in the last part of your previous presentation. I hope that initial part, like introduction, what are the topics you are going to study about your subject, thermal engineering 2, okay, and reference books, all the things you have discussed, right? Now, what you missed, I'll be discussing here. Now, this particular slides gives you exactly what is a steam, what are the different properties of steam. I hope thermodynamics has a chapter of pure substances where it discusses about the steam. Here it discusses about the steam, right? Now, what I am going to see, basically, if you just see, this is our steam energy. Now, where you have seen steam, I think every house has got a pressure cooker. Now, what is the role of a pressure cooker in houses? So normally, if you take a vessel to cook your food or vegetables, it will take a lot of time. Now, you will be using a pressure cooker
ఏమో
to.
బస్తా కాచుకురా దా మన ముగ్గురు నువ్వు కూడా వేసేసి
So just see what exactly. So I already been telling about your, right? Okay. Now see, pressure cooker, as I said, in your houses, you will be using a pressure cooker to cook the food very quickly. You want a quick food preparation, mostly you will go for cooker. So why you are going for pressure cooker? What exactly the function of a pressure cooker? So the pressure cooker is similar like a small boiler. Okay. Now using your steam energy, you will be cooking your food because the steam has that energy which cooks your vegetables or your rice faster. Now you see in this particular diagram here. Okay. So just let me take a light here. Now just see here, you'll be seeing some sort of a gas coming out of a pressure cooker, which is nothing but your vapor or steam. So you might have observed some weight, you're going to keep some, what you call, normally you call it as a weight. It's not a weight, it's a safety valve. Once the safety valve just opens, you see the steam coming out of the cooker. Steam coming out of the cooker. Okay, right? So that's the steam. Now, what is exactly the steam? I call that steam also as a water vapor, right? Now, the steam may be wet, may be saturated, may be superheated. So, what are these three things that particular steam has? Okay, but I haven't doubt. So, why there are three types of steam? Now, depends upon the temperature what you are supplying to the water. Depends upon the temperature you are going to supply, because the basic fluid is water. You are going on heating the water. So up to some temperature, it remains as a water. Now after some temperature, possibly the temperature is 100 degrees centigrade. That 100 degrees is called as the saturation temperature. So the temperature where it changes its phase, that is from liquid to vapor or vapor to liquid, vice versa. It's called as the, yes, it's called as nothing but your saturation temperature. So 100 degrees at 1 bar pressure is the properties of water where it actually saturates. That means it converts into vapor. So 100 degrees and you just keep on heating at constant pressure, it will be converted into steam. Assume that that particular steam has some water particles in that. It's called as wet steam, and it's completely dry, doesn't have any water particles. It's called as saturated steam. And superheated, that means still you are increasing the temperature very high, then you may see that steam will be like a gas because it doesn't have any water particle. And almost all the gas laws I can apply to the superheated steam, not for wet steam. Okay, so that's about your classification of steam, right? So steam or water vapor can be divided into wet steam, saturated steam, and superheated steam. So as I indicate here, so wet steam doesn't obey the gas laws like Boyle-Stars law or chaotic gas equation, etc. because it doesn't, it's not a pure gas. Okay, right. Now, so this is the basically what exactly the conversion of energy in a steam power plant. Okay, or basically what is the energy conversion using a steam. Now you see from the starting part here. Now this is the steam energy or steam which is coming at very high pressure, which indicates the steam entry. Okay, now that steam which is at very high pressure and high temperature goes here, and this is the device which is called as the turbine. So turbine is free to rotate, which is having a blades. Okay, now that steam which is at higher pressure, higher temperature expands in on the blades here. Okay, and rotate this particular turbine and produces mechanical work or mechanical energy to the shaft here. Okay, so the conversion of energy is high pressure steam energy is being converted into mechanical energy using a turbine. So unused steam or whatever the steam left, it just comes down, which is called as a steam outlet. Now this mechanical energy, if I couple to a alternator or a generator, okay, obviously you see that there is some electrical energy which is coming. So this is the basic energy conversion using your steam, And the right side diagram, what I have shown here, indicates your the train in olden days, which is running on steam engine. So the engine is basically running on using a steam. So you might have seen that there is some coal, and that fellow one of the fellow will keep on putting the coal in the fire, so that generates the steam. The steam is going to rotate these particular wheels here, and engine is going to run. So that steam engines is now it's absolute, and some places you can find still that particular steam engines. So there you are using a steam energy to run the engine. Okay, right. Now next one. See, this is how the exactly you see the steam formation. So steam is generated in boilers at constant pressure. So as I said, you must need a generator or steam generator or boiler, which actually generates the steam. Okay. Now, for an example, I just take this particular conversion here. Now, I have a beaker which have a arrangement for heat here, and I have kept ice. Okay, ice in solid form, and you have a weight here. Now you are going on keeping, giving the heat energy here. Now you see that because of heat energy, the ice is going to melt. Okay. Now once it melts, because ice is a solid which occupies more volume. Now because it converts, the ice will be melting and converts into water. Now you see that weight has come down because volume has come down, because the water will be occupying less volume. Now after that, you still keep on at constant pressure, you keep on giving the heat. Now what happens? The weight starts moving up. What it indicates, the water now is converting into vapor. So that's how it indicates. Now see here, you have term called as VF, volume fluid, okay, which is nothing but specific volume of fluid. That is volume of water or fluid occupied here. Okay, so now you see the weight starts moving because the energy, because of heat energy, the water is converted into steam. That steam pushes the weight up. That's a work. Okay, now still you see this diagram here, where still I am giving the heat. Now you see the water amount has reduced a little bit, and the remaining I have a wet particles of steam. That is nothing but apart water is available and wet, some water particles also there. So water particles, steam, both are mixed here. So that's why it's called as wet steam. Now you see the energy of the wet steam moves away little bit more here. Now here you can see the water is completely absent. Now only slight particles of water, drops of water will be available. Now which is called as a wet steam. which is having more energy compared to the previous case. Now the volume wet, small v wet is the specific volume of wet steam. Now after that you can see that there is no water particle available because it's keep on getting the heat energy and absorbing the heat energy. The entire water particle has been dried out. Now that particles after drying it converts into steam, which is having completely dry saturated. So what I said saturated means there is no water particle. The entire thing is like a dry steam. Okay, now see the energy still further more. Now Vg, small Vg is specific volume of, G indicates gas or vapor. So that particular dry steam denoted by G, wet steam as W wet, and F as fluid, which is the water. Now finally the last one is after the dry steam. So already it's dry, no water particle, nothing saturated, but still you are supplying some amount of heat here. You see that it converts into superheated steam. So what is meant by superheated steam? That is still the steam has very high energy, and this is V, small v, superheated. SUP you can make it as. Okay, so we'll see these particular terms when you come to the problems. Okay, so superheated steam still has very high energy or huge amount of energy, which makes the weight to lift to this particular position. Now you see here, to start with, this is the position of weight. Now because of the superheated steam energy, the weight has gone almost like a very huge value. Okay, so this is how your steam production is going to happen. Okay, right? Next. Yeah, next same thing I have just given in temperature versus amount of heat content, or already you learned the property which is called as enthalpy. Okay, so just time being you understand what exactly this is, and we'll discuss in detail when we discuss about the problems. Okay, so the left axis or left y-axis is on temperature, and the right hand, x-axis is amount of heat added. Now see, initially at point 1, this is the ice. Now you are adding some heat here, 1 to 2. Okay, so the solid ice is going to gets the temperature. Now it starts melting. How it melts? It by taking 2 to 3 at constant pressure. I am giving the heat, which is called as latent heat of fusion. So what is the latent heat of fusion? It is the amount of heat actually required to melt the ice. That is, ice is like a solid. Now it converts into liquid. So at 3, there won't be any ice available. It is only the water which is at temperature, very low temperature, maybe 0 degrees. Okay, here, right? So it shows Fahrenheit, so 0 degrees centigrade. Okay. Now after that, what I have given? I have given now here 3. It's a water now. Now I still am going on giving a temperature. So that particular temperature from 32, I gone to the 212 is nothing but your 100 degrees centigrade. So 100 degrees centigrade, I have given up to that 100 degrees. I have given the temperature. Now you see this temperature is going on increasing. The heat is going on increasing. So the amount of heat which is given to convert the water which is at 0 degrees centigrade to 100 degrees centigrade is called as sensible heat of liquid. Sensible heat of liquid. So sensible heat, latent heat of fusion, sensible heat. Now you see 4 point where the water is at 100 degrees centigrade. Where the water is at 100 degrees centigrade. Now after this, okay, now I keep on giving at constant pressure. Now you see that this is saturated liquid. That means at 4 point, it's still 100 degrees liquid. Now after that only it converts into steam. Okay. Now what is the amount of heat I have to give to convert water at 100 degrees centigrade to vapor at 100 degrees centigrade? Nothing but 5 point. So saturated vapor is 1, which is called as dry vapor in the previous case. So which I have to give this amount of heat, which is called as latent heat, to convert the water at 100 degrees to vapor at 100 degrees. Now at 5 point, you can see it is completely like a vapor at 100 degrees centigrade. I call this as saturated vapor. Now you see what 5 to 6, whatever the amount of temperature you add, that particular steam is called as superheated steam. So dry steam is at saturated steam is dry and saturated steam is at 5, and after that even 1 degree 2 degree also if you add, it's called as a superheated steam. Okay, I hope you understood this temperature versus enthalpy diagram. So from ice I have got up to the 6.1 to 6. So latent heat, sensible heat, latent heat of vaporization, sensible heat for vapor or superheated steam. Okay, so this is basically your temperature enthalpy diagram. So time being you understand. Okay, right? So what are the terms I have got here? Now I have understood. Now see this particular position where I have showing the marker here, latent heat of evaporation. This portion is one where you have wet steam. Why it's wet steam? Because at 4 it's have what is that? What is nothing but it is having what is called as like 100 degrees liquid. Now still I am going on giving heat. The entire liquid particles is going on converted into vapor. So this portion is one where it has wet steam. Okay, at 5 exactly it's a dry steam, and after that it's called as the superheated steam, right? Superheated steam. So here wet steam, dry steam, superheated steam. That's what the different classification of steam. Right, able to understand here. And once again, when I deal with the problems on your Rankine cycle, I'll again explain you regarding what is the dry steam, what is liquid or saturated steam, as well as what is superheated steam. Okay, now what I'll do now, just I'll go for one more topic, so that will be interesting for you. Now just see, yeah. Now you see here what exactly I have shown in the diagram. Okay, so first we discuss this because what we discussing is the steam engineering. Unless you know what exactly happening in the steam power plants, you can't go for further. Okay, right? Now I hope you are able to see this particular power plant here. Okay. Right. Now you see here. Now this particular power plant, what I have shown, this if you see here, it will be same as as it is when you go for either NTPC or VTPC or Enur power plants. Whatever the power plant available, you can see this the power plant has this amount of devices. Okay. Now to just see on the right hand side, what you can see here is nothing but different types of lines here. Okay, so now to start with, very important parts of any steam power plant is there are 4 very important device that what we discuss in detail when we solve the problems also. Now you can see here, yeah, here it's a drum like thing you see, which I call it as boiler. Okay, now straight away I'll just go from the boiler here. Now one more device, very important one, the yellow color. Okay, so just see, this is your turbine. This is your turbine, which is connected to the generator, Okay, so after the turbine, you have below this a condenser. Then you have something called as a feed pump. Okay, so remaining also I'll discuss in detail. So in general, these are the very important device without which your steam plant doesn't work. Okay, so that is boiler, turbine, condenser, boiler, feed pump. Okay, right? So these are a very important device. So once again, boiler, turbine, condenser, boiler, feed pump. Okay, and all the other things are just helping these particular devices here. Okay, to start with, Okay, I'll just go from the boiler. Okay, now see, boiler is one where it receives coal. You see here, just follow the highlighting thing. So first I'll go for coal storage. So what are the coal which is coming from Gujarat or different places will be stored in a coal handling plant. Coal handling plant. Sir, why sir coal? So coal is a solid fuel, is being used to burn the coal. I'll be getting the heat energy, and I have a boiler which is having the water. So using the heat energy from the coal, I'll be converting this water into steam or vapor. Steam or vapor. Okay, right. So now coal is being fed, coal is being burnt here. Now boiler, it starts generating the, yes, steam here. Now this is the superheater. This is the, or I can see here, from here I'll go. So boiler, it goes to the steam, it produces the steam. You see here, steam here. So boiler produces steam, and one more circuit, red color, is flue gases or waste gases. I'll come to that afterwards. So once I take the coal is being burnt here, and that water is being heated. That converts the water into steam, and the steam is going like this here. Okay. Now I'll come to the superheater afterwards. So, or it comes to the superheater, where the superheater is a device. Assume that, okay, I'll just go steam here. Then steam will be going like this. Okay, and I'll open the valve for the steam. The superheated steam is here in this part, and will expands in the turbine. So turbine starts rotating, and which actually rotates the generator, produces the electrical energy. Now assume that high pressure, high temperature steam, once it expands, okay, it loses its energy, and whatever the left out steam will just comes like this, which will be going to a device called as a condenser. Sir, what is the use of a condenser? So assume that this is a very, this is almost like a steam which is at superheated state. It revolves the turbine, and whatever the left out steam or wet steam available, it comes here if you assume. Now what I'll do, a condenser is a device which is nothing but one side I'll be sending a cooling water. I'll be sending cooling water. The other side you have this left out steam going. So what happens now? So because cooling water, you have water which is at cold condition. Now this is steam is at hot condition. So whatever the left out steam available, that heat is given to this cooling water. Okay, then that entire steam or whatever the thing, hot water, now it converted into some sort of, now assume that it comes as a wet steam. If you assume that wet steam, now it becomes like a hot water. Okay, now this particular pump here just takes this hot water. Now that is going to the one more particular pump which is called as boiler feed pump. So what is the boiler feed pump? Is nothing but this is the basically pump which feeds this water again to the boiler, You see here, from condensate extract pump, it goes to the low pressure heater. I'll tell you what is this low pressure heater. Then it goes to the boiler feed pump. That's the entire water from the condenser. Then it goes to the high pressure heater. Then it goes to the feed water. This is the amount of feed water or the water. Again, the water is fed into the boiler, and using the coal energy again, it's again heated. Then it goes produces steam. Then steam again goes to the turbine, condenser, and condensers using the cooling water, which is actually I am getting from the cooling tower. Okay. Now again it goes and feeds the water. So like this, the cycle will be going. Now you see what are the other circuits here. Now as I said, once the coal, which actually gives or burn or gives heat energy to the water is converting into steam. There are two waste products available. One is, once the coal burns, okay, so there is flue gases or waste gases. Okay, the another thing is left out unburnt coal, everything, it converts into ash. Okay, so what are the two ways here? One is flue gas, or waste flue gas, other one is ash. Okay. Now what happens here? Flue gases. So the flue gases, that is nothing but the waste gases. So once heat energy is given, so what are the waste gases available? It just because I'll be sending here. You can see at the top, to burn the coal, I need air. No, that air is one which is going here, burning the coal, and whatever the flue gases are waste gases after burning, it goes here. Now you see here, the steam will be going in this direction to the turbine, and flue gases will be going like this to the above like this. Now you see the flue gases is having a temperature of around 120, 150 degrees centigrade temperature is available. That's a burnout gases. Okay. So if just leave it just like that, it's just a waste. Now what I'll do now, I'm going to recover the whatever the heat available in the flue gases. Okay. First I'll send it to the superheater, a device where assume that the boiler is generating some steam here. It comes to the superheater and it takes the temperature from the flue gases or waste gases, which is already having a lot of heat. It gives the heat to the steam here, and that particular steam, even again, it's a very good superheated condition, goes to the turbine, and finally it goes to the generator. Now you see the red circuit here. So flue gases, first it goes to the superheater, then it goes to a device which is called as economizer. Now see here, what is the use of economizer? Now what is the input for economizer? You see here, I'll be sending the condensed water by using a boiler feed pump. Before boiler, it is going to fed, it goes to the economizer. So what are the economizer? So this is the feed water, this is the flue gases. Now you see, I'll be recovering whatever the heat available in the flue gases to heat the feed water. Feed water. So why, sir, you want to heat the feed water? Okay, I'll give you the answer. Okay. Now what happens? Once if this particular water which is coming here, which is having low temperature, and it has to go to the boiler, again I have to burn the coal. Now you see here what I'm doing, because the flue gases already carries a lot of heat here. That heat is I'm sending one side, and I'll be sending the water other side. So whatever the heat from the flue gases will be absorbed by the feed water here, and comes to the boiler. Now what is the advantage? Because already it's got the heat from the flue gases. Now I require less energy from the coal to get and convert it into steam. This actually reduces our fuel cost, and it is profitable for the plant. Okay, because I'm not investing anything for the flue gases or waste gases. It just comes as a waste. So I'm just recovering the waste heat by using a devices, superheater, economizer, and the air which is being fed to burn the coal is also being preheated using the flue gases before it supplies to the boiler. And finally, you see the last part, what is available here. The entire flue gases are giving heat for everything here. It goes to a place called as chimney. So as I said in the previous presentation, there is something called as chimney. It's the last part where I'll create a pressure difference from boiler to chimney. So the flue gases automatically from high pressure to low pressure, it just flows like this, and just comes out of the chimney. Okay. Now coming to this circuit, the ash which is just waste from the coal, it being handled by the ash handling plant. It's stored in the plant here. Then finally it goes to the ash storage. Now you know what is the advantage of ash. So nowadays the ash can be used for a ash bricks. Okay. So hope you understood the entire thing. Now you see here what are the other parts here. Now the cooling tower, as I said, it's just a cooling tower is nothing but you have an arrangement where every time you will be taking the river water, and the river water is being circulated using a pump here. And once the water is being circulated, the hot steam here is going to pass in the opposite direction. This cooling water will be taking the heat and expands in a device using the atmospheric air, and again it's cooled back, again it will be recirculated. even rivers are available, I can recirculate the same water, because once you take the water here, okay, that water after circulating, getting the heat, again it's being cooled in a cooling tower, again it being recirculated. So every time it will take the heat from the condenser. Okay, so this is basically what is your, right. So hope you understood the entire working of a steam power plant. So just go through once I complete this class. Now just remember very important thing here. That's a boiler, turbine, condenser, and heat pump. These are the very important device, because these are the thermodynamic devices. Because boiler, what is the thermodynamic cycle? I must have two work outputs. That's a work in, work out, heat in, heat out. So can you guess what is this? So boiler is one where I am supplying heat, and condenser is one I am taking out the heat. So Q in, Q out. Then what is work in? So I am giving work to pump the water. That is a pump. That is work in. Where is work out? So I am getting output from the turbine to run the generator, and finally electrical energy is being produced. So this is basically your thermodynamic cycle. Now the final one, that is the superheater, economizer, and air preheater, is called as nothing but your accessories. Without these also I can run the entire steam power plant, but if you have these devices, I can use the temperature from the flue gases, and I can improve the efficiency of the steam power plant. So normally the efficiency of the steam power plant will be of the order of 35%. So even if 1 or 2%, if you're going to increase the efficiency of power plant, it's going to be a very much profitable for the entire steam power plant or the particular government. Okay, the grid is one which is taking the electrical energy and supplies to the substations, and finally it comes to the houses. Okay, so this is basically your steam power plant and how it works. Okay, hope you understood, and just go through. I'll be giving this information. Okay, the videos, and just go through that. If you have any doubt, I mean, come for next class. I'll be just taking some uh, uh, 10 or 15 minutes for doubts, and we'll be discussing about those doubts. Or you have, um, I'll be just one more Telegram channel I'll be opening. So if you have any doubts, just post it there. I'll be discussing about it. Or better, if you take the next class, by the time you can just go through this presentation. When you come for next class, I'll clarify all your doubts, and I'll revise whatever the concept will be handled in the this. Okay. So thank you. Thanks for joining.